They will join. Om Partaya
Pratibodhita Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratita Puranam Murida Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadhyayini Ambadvamanusandata Bhagavad Gite Bhavadeshini.
Introduction to the next verse. This is the result. Now the next verse explains briefly the method by which one gains Naiskarmi Siddhi, which is Jnana Nishtha.
பேக்ரவுண்ட் எடுத்தால் தான் நாங்கள் வரும்.
One minute, Swamiji.
Yeah.
எங்கே போயிடுது? கொடு. இது எல்லாம் தெரியும்.
எல்லாம் தெரியுமா நீ?
Shankara introduces the verse recalling what was said before. Previously it was said that worshipping the Lord by doing one's duty at a given time and place, a person gains accomplishment characterized as inner maturity. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. His job may be tending the cow, but done as a worship of Ishvara. It will result in the same success as any other action done with this understanding. Offering flowers to the Lord is also worship, and so is doing exactly what is to be done. Because Dharma is the Lord, when you conform to the order, that order, recognizing it as Ishvara, you are in tune with Ishvara and your action becomes worship. What is the accomplishment, Siddhi, gained by this? By this Karma Yoga you gain Antakarana Suddhi, preparedness of mind for the knowledge spoken of here. Then again, the one who has the knowledge of what is Atma and what is Atma, Anatma, Viveka Jnana, what is an agent, Karta, and what is not, Akarta, in whom the knowledge of Atma as real has arisen, gains an ultimate certainty in the knowledge of the Atma, which is non-dual. The order in which that happens is told briefly in the next verse.
Yeah.
Verse 50, gain of Brahman is nothing but certainty of knowledge. Siddhim prapto yatha brahma tatapnodi nibodhame samasenaiva kaunteya nishtadyanasya yapara. Kaunteya, the son of Kunti Arjuna, Siddhim Praptaha, the one who has gained the accomplishment of Antakarana Suddhi, Yatha how, Jnanasya Yapara Nishta, that which is the ultimate certainty of the knowledge, Brahma, Brahman, Apnoti, he gains, Tata, just so, Samasena Eva, just in brief, Me Niboda, learn from me. Learn from me in brief, Kaunteya Arjuna, how the one who has gained the accomplishment of Antakarana Suddhi gains the ultimate certainty of the knowledge that is Brahman. Here the accomplishment Siddhi is preparedness of mind, Antakarana Suddhi. Shankara says that it is characterized by an eligibility of the body and senses for a commitment to knowledge, and that eligibility is the result of the grace earned by worshipping Ishvara through doing one's own duty. This restatement of what was said before, Swakarmana tam abhyachya siddhim vintati manavaha, is for the sake of what comes later, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. What is born of the grace of Ishvara is that his mind, body and senses do not create any disturbance in him. This is the greatest grace that you can think of. If you look into it, it amounts to looking at yourself nicely rather than looking down upon yourself. You always think you need grace for this and that, but all you really require is that the mind, body and senses be available for you when you need them. This implies not only mental purity, antakarana shuddhi, but the cooperation of the body too. If the body falls apart, what is the use of the mind having grace? You need not enjoy a special healthy body, but then it should be available to serve the needs of your pursuit and not interfere with it. The mind must be clean and the body should be fit. Both of these require grace.
So the body, basically what it means is that it should not draw your attention when you are sitting and studying or contemplating or doing satsang. The body should not call for any of your attention. That much of good health is required. Since you must be able to, actually you should not be self-conscious, you should not be body conscious, you should not be mind conscious. In the sense, mind is free now. Buddhi is directly available for the Shastra Vichara, study, listening, whatever, satsang, whatever. So the mind should not disturb with some unnecessary thoughts, extraneous thoughts. Body should not call for your attention. That much of minimum healthy body and mind is required. And mind is required, healthy mind is by antakarana shuddhi, doing your duties, and there is no contradiction. Like சொன்னதே நினைச்சதே சொல்றதே செய்யறது, arjavam, that we have discussed before. That alignment is there. There is no multiple personality inside, telling something, posing something, inside something else, having contradictions. All those things in our vyavahara we should avoid. Like, there should not be any contradictions. There should not be any, whatever you say, you should, okay, you may not say all the truth, you don't have to say. But you don't have to tell a lie, or you can keep quiet if you find that the situation is not okay. But there is no contradiction. So, mind which is not free of contradiction, body which is having a reasonably good health, where it allows you to, whenever you are studying, it doesn't disturb you. This sort of a thing is called antakarana shuddhi and the grace. This grace is, if it is available, then you are ready for this understanding. That's what he says. Yeah.
What is it that the one who has gained this accomplishment, siddhim praptaha, going to accomplish later? He gains Brahman, Brahma apnoti, in the form of certainty of knowledge. How does he gain that? What is the means whereby this karma yogi, enjoying this accomplishment of mental purity, but who nevertheless considers himself a doer, karta, gains the knowledge of Brahman?
See, the only difference, the person who is a perfect karma yogi, who has been listening to the Shastra, who has got the initial urge to understand the reality of life, and then he has the Shraddha in the Shastra as well as the karma and all that. So karmana tammadhyarche and all karma yoga and all is fairly clear. He has been living that life. So now what they say, the siddhi is antakarana shuddhi and body is ready and you are ready for the knowledge. Only that you have to own up. That what is the owning up? That I am the karta and Bhagavan is different from me. That alienation, that last bit of alienation that is there, that has to go. What is going to be said? Your reality and Ishvara's reality are one and the same. That is the only thing that is pending. That is just one more step. So before that, you are called karma yogi because you are calling yourself a karta. Thereafter, you will be a person who is one with Ishvara, one with Aham Brahmasmi, whatever all the Mahavakya of this thing. So you don't have to call yourself anything thereafter. I won't designate myself as a karta, bhokta and all that. I am being. I am just there. I am what I am. You don't have to name it at all. Because I am what I am, that I am, everyone knows. There is no name. So that is what the aparoksha samsari, who thinks that is a karta, bhakta, and he has to become aparoksha asamsari. That's all. His reality. So just from the karta, bhakta level to the reality level, just a shift. A small minor shift when you are ready. Once you are ready, otherwise the minor shift is going to happen. That's what is now going to be told. Yeah.
But when as a karma yogi, you take everything as Ishwar Prasada and Ishwar Arpanam.
Yeah, that's all there. Already you are ready.
Then
You are aligned
you
with Ishvara, but still you think that you are the karta and you are doing the puja, you are all those, that differentiation, that Ishvara is there in the deity or the deity I worship and all that. But as I have always told before also, that when we do all that also, when we do that Sukarmana tam abhyarchya, what we do? Tanu manu sab kuch tera hai. Hindi, what that famous song is there, no? Everything, including your body, mind, senses are put on the Ishvara. All your glories are put on the Ishvara. Yarukku vairam kudukka mudiyuma, yarukku dharmam kudukka mudiyuma, yarukku paal kudukka mudiyuma, nei kudukka mudiyuma, everything is on the Ishvara. The deity is already in front, decked with all those things. All Sodasha Upacharam is over. Dhupa, Deepam, everything is given. Mala, Alankaram, everything is there. So that symbolizes what? All the glories that have been given to you by Ishvara. And Ishvara is where? All his glories are also on the Pratima. So Ishvara is on the other side, the being. You are here, the being, the Arati. Arati signifies the oneness. Now that oneness has to be appreciated. That is told in terms of bhakti in case of Arati. Here it is going to be told in terms of understanding. That's all the difference. Here they will say, this is understanding. This is Atma and Ishvara are one and the same. Because this is also Desakala Vastu Aparichinnam. That is also Desakala. There cannot be a two Desakala Vastu Aparichinnam. When the being is there, is no thing, no object is there. The being alone is there. How can there be two non-being? Being is only one. Throughout the, not only you, everywhere. All beings, all plants, animals, whole prapancha vanishes into the being. That is the knowledge. That is what we have to see by way of understanding. Here we see by way of understanding. In bhakti it is done in terms of bhavana. So that is why the famous statement of the 10th chapter. Buddha bhava samanvita. The bhavana gets converted into bhava if you are a Buddha. Buddha meaning if you have the knowledge. If you have the understanding, the bhavana gets converted to bhava. That is called samanvita. Samanvita means samyak anvita, meaning complete clarity and understanding. So, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam, acharyavan purushaha veda, Buddha bhava samanvita. That is a transformation. It is what is being told. Yeah.
What is it that Siddhi gains Brahman? What is the means whereby this Karma Yogi, enjoying this accomplishment of mental purity, but who nevertheless considers himself a doer karta, gains the knowledge of Brahman? Lord Krishna says, please understand from me. Is he going to start another 17 chapters? No. He is going to explain it briefly, samasena. All that he has said before is going to be presented in an essential form so that Arjuna can keep it in his mind and do what is to be done. What is that gain of Brahman? Brahma Prapti. It is nothing but knowledge of Brahman, which is the ultimate end of knowledge. Jnanasya ya para nishtha. The culmination of a pursuit is nishtha. Generally, the pursuit of knowledge has no end to it. You come to know only a little more than what you knew before, and even more about what you do not know. Previously, you did not know that you did not know, and now you know something about how much you do not know. Thus, there is no end for any type of knowledge except knowledge of the self, Atma. Because Atma is spotless, you cannot have partial knowledge of Atma and still call it knowledge. It is possible to mistake Atma because it is always available, but it is not possible to have partial knowledge of the real nature of Atma, it being totally free from parts. Therefore, knowledge of Atma is the only knowledge that has culmination, nishtha. Every other knowledge
so
is
nishtangara
inconclusive.
word meaning you must understand, culmination. It is not nishtana those are all funny definitions, samadhi and all, generally yoga, many other dissensions of Vedanta and all. A lot of people say nishtha means samadhi, must be sitting tight. No, nishtha means culmination of knowledge, clarity and understanding. Yeah.
Every other knowledge is inconclusive. It has parts because the object of any knowledge necessarily has attributes. Being dependent upon something else, vidya, any object of knowledge is nothing but attribute. There is no substantive in the world. For everything that we call a substantive becomes an attribute upon inquiry, implying another substantive. What is the substantive?
Yeah, just he is explaining, read it.
In a clay pot, pot is only an attribute of the substantive called clay. But even the clay is not a substantive. It is only an attribute of the substantive called atom. Any form is going to be reducible like this. Therefore, the formless alone can be a substantive, and that happens to be yourself. Knowledge
Yeah, you
of
have to reduce it further. Atom to nucleus, nucleus to concept. What is nucleus? Nucleus, then God particle. God particle is what? Only a concept. It is purely a scientific concept, explanation. So the concept comes from where? The mind. Mind gets lighted by whom? Consciousness. So final substantive is consciousness, that is you, your reality, Ishvara's reality, world's reality. Everything else is changing. Only that is changeless. The changeless is the reality, changing is mithya. Changing is mithya means it doesn't exist, it exists. Actually only mithya can be useful. Changeless consciousness cannot be useful. That is not available for transaction.
Yes.
So just because it becomes useful, it cannot become satyam. There are a lot of all the assumptions of philosophies, they say useful, so it is satyam. Vedanta says useful, that is why it is mithya. Anything useful is mithya. That doesn't mean satyam is useless.
Yeah.
Satyam is the only thing that makes it useful. Even what is that? That famous Dakshinamurti Stotram is come. No. What is that? Second verse. What is it?
Maya
Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijam dargatam pasyanna atmani mayaya bahir udbhutam viva etanidriya yat sakshat gurute prabodha samye swatmanam evadvayam tasmai sri gurumurte namedam sri dakshinamurtiye bijasyanta ankuraha iva jagaditam pran nirvikalpam punaha Maya kalpita desha kala karana vaichitre chitritam maya viva vijrumbhayati mahayogi svechaya tasmai sri gurumurte namaidam sri dakshinamurte. No, I am referring to something else. Pradasmarami kriti samspurat atmatattvam satchit surkam paramahamsam gatim turiyam yet swapna jagra sushuptam avaiti nityam tad brahma nishkalam aham nachapodha sangaha Pratar bhajami manasa vachasa agam vacho vibanti nikila yat anugrahena. Vacho vibanti nikila yat anugrahena. Meaning, even for you to say something, whose anugraham is required? The Chaitanya, Atma's anugraham is required. So it is not available for words, but even to speak, you need Chaitanya's anugraham. So you don't have to find out, it's not available for words. Right? That you are able to speak itself is because of Chaitanya. So that is what. So, Kena Upanishad, Yet Vak Abhyutete, Yena Vak Abhyutitam. Yet Vak Na Abhyutete. By words you cannot explain, but Yena Vak Tat Abhyutitam. Meaning, by which you are able to speak. You cannot explain it, objectified by words, but words itself can be spoken only because of the Chaitanya. So that is why it is objectless, but doesn't mean that it's not available. It is you. You don't have to once you have negated what it is not, what is the being, Atma, Brahman, Ishvara, need not be explained. Because it is you, I am. So I am need not be explained. Everyone knows what I am. Only our problem is I am so and so. That so and so is the problem. Now we all drop all the so and so and say I am. And then you remain yourself. That is called that. Later it will be explained Akara Vritti and Akanda Akara Vritti and all that. Akanda Akara Vritti means a Vritti which cannot be cannot be captured. Means what? There is no Akara. There is no object. That is what Akanda Akara Vritti and all that. There are confusions at that level. There are a lot of differentiation even in the but we have to the way in which Swamiji explains and Bhashyakara explains, we understand very clear. Yeah.
No, therefore so knowledge of you, therefore the formless alone can be a substantive, and that happens to be yourself. Knowledge of you then is the only conclusive knowledge possible, and therefore the most exalted para. In what order you will gain that knowledge, Bhagavan is going to tell here, and thus he draws the attention of Arjuna, saying, Learn from me, Nibodha me. But first, Shankara has a very interesting and important bhashya here, which we will look into carefully.
The nature of Jnana Nishtha, Shankara has categorized the certainty of knowledge Jnana Nishtha as where the knowledge of Brahman ends. Now the question is raised, what is the nature of this certainty of knowledge Jnana Nishtha? Shankara says that in whichever form the knowledge of Atma is, the certainty Nishtha is in that form. What we are calling Jnana Nishtha is not different from knowledge of Atma. The next question is, what is the nature of this knowledge of Atma, Atma Jnana? Shankara says that whatever the nature of Atma is, there is the nature of Atma Jnana. Between the knowledge of Atma and Atma, there cannot be any difference. For knowledge is always as true as the object. If one asks what the nature of this Atma is, Shankara says that it is in the form in which it was told by Bhagavan through the sentences of the Gita as well as the Upanishads and by reasoning. Here, Shankara can answer that the nature of Atma is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, but he does not because his topic is the nature of the knowledge. We should also make a note that when Shankara talks of reasoning here, he means that what is said should be reasonable. What is said by the Shastra is examined and ascertained to be not against reason. If any other interpretation of Atma is proposed, he will show the fallacy in that proposal through reasoning.
So here, when Shankara says, it is in the form in which it was told by Bhagavan through the sentences of Gita as well as Upanishads and by reasoning. What it means is, it is something to be arrived at by you having gained Antakarana Shuddhi, study the Shastra, Jnana, which I have told before also. It is not Atma Jnanam, somebody tells and you listen, make notes and accept and come home. It is not like any other knowledge like physics or chemistry or whatever. Anything, whatever papers latest has been made, quantum theory, whatever it is, we study whatever has been latest made and that you present it in the exam and you get marks. But it is open to negation and open to improvement by next scientist. And 2 years down the line, that will become the exam answer for the paper, that quantum theory paper. So there all that knowledge is what is already documented and maybe applied in terms of technologies applied or whatever it is. It is not, it is what you call, it is not you. It is something other than you, but called knowledge with reference to that particular subject. Here it is you. So, which we have right from beginning we have been told, but what I am, I don't have to check up with anyone else whether I exist or not. I am. So that I am, what I am is going to be told, you have to own it up. So it is Jnana. You have to do the inquiry through Gita, Upanishad, all the Prakarana and make it your own. Not because Shastra says, not because the Acharya says. Because it is you. Your understanding is total there. That is called Nishtha. That is why Shankara does not say what is Asatyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. All those things are Upadesha Vakyas. In the sense, through the Upadesha, you are supposed to own it up. You are supposed to arrive at an understanding. You have to understand. So that is why it is Atato Brahma Jignasa is the Brahma Sutra. Not Ata Yoga, whereas Yoga and Ata Yoga Anusasanam, Anushtanam. Everything is what is already given and you follow it. Whereas in this particular case, it's not given. It is what you discover, your reality. So that is called Jignasa. That is why Shankara says it is in the form of, in what it is told by Bhagavan through the sentences of Gita as well as Upanishads and by reasoning. He doesn't say it is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is true in a different context in the Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad. But there again he explains, you have to understand it. You have to. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Your Dhimahi, Dhiyoganu Prachodhyatma சொல்றோம் இல்லையா காயத்ரியில. So Dhimahi, Mahi, my Dhi should become Satyam Param. It should not be Gurus, Acharyas and all. It's all over. Once they all have told you, given all the whatever samagri, everything, whatever is needed for you to understand, what do you call, you have been put into a corner where you cannot but understand. But understanding has to happen in you. That is what is precisely called Nishtha. That is what is going to do. Yeah.
Purva Paksha Siddhanta Vichara, objection. Since Atma has no form, self-knowledge is not possible. An objection is raised here. It has been said that knowledge is always in the form of the object of knowledge. The knowledge of a pot, for example, is going to be as good as the pot, in that when you know a pot, the knowledge you have of the pot will be in keeping with the nature of the pot. It cannot be different. If it is, you will not understand the pot as a pot. Therefore, it is well known that knowledge assumes the form of the object, but nowhere is it accepted that Atma is an object or that it has a form. The self is not an object because if it were, who would be the subject? Being yourself, Atma is never an object which you can objectify. By nature, it is not subject to objectification. In that case, if it is not an object, how are you going to gain knowledge of it when knowledge is always in keeping with the object? Further, for knowledge to take place, the object of the knowledge must have a form. But Atma, according to you, as pure consciousness, has no form. If Atma neither has a form nor is an object, how are you going to know? It is not like a pot which is both an object and has form and therefore can be known. Even an atom has its own attribute through which you can know it because you can objectify it, not sensorily but inferentially. It's an object of knowledge for you, the subject which is distinct from what you objectify. You are not an atom, you are objectifying an atom and it is identifiable in a given form. But what about Atma? It has no particular form nor is it an object. How are you going to gain knowledge of that Atma? And if you cannot gain the knowledge itself, where is the questioning of gaining Jnana Nishtha, the certainty in that knowledge? Swamiji, I always consider this goodwill in financial statements as Atma, Swamiji. Because most of the time when you value goodwill, it has no tangible, it has no intangible, it has no form, it has no object, it has nothing. But goodwill exists on the balance sheet of the company.
The only difference is goodwill can become bad will anytime. So that is changing again. So mithya. Even goodwill also is mithya, even though it is intangible. Like all sakshi pratyaya, all sakshi pratyaksha, meaning taste, emotion, it doesn't have a form. It is all there in your mind, but it keeps changing. So even though it is sakshi pratyaksha, it is formless, it is not an object, all your emotions are funny. They can keep changing anytime. So it's mithya. So even though it is not a formless, it has got, it is formless, it's not an object, still it is mithya. Whereas here we are talking about your reality is only satyam. Yeah.
An Ekadashi's view. Someone offers an answer here. Ekadeshi, sorry.
Ekadeshi meaning he doesn't belong to any sampradaya or anything. Suddenly, one question that is a Ekadeshi. Yeah.
An Ekadeshi's view. Someone offers an answer here. Citing the Shastra, a meditator Upasaka says that the Atma does have a form. What is that form? It is in the form of the sun, Aditya Varna. It is in the form of light, Bharupa. It is self-shining, Swayam Jyoti. If Atma is in the form of self-shining light, he argues it must have a form because fire, whose nature is light, is the first element in the sequence of creation that has form. The first element is space, Akasha, and the second is air, Vayu, neither of which has a form. Next is fire, Agni, which is the first to have a form. Since Atma is said to be light, the special property of fire, why should we not consider that Atma has a form? Another Ekadeshi's view. Ekadeshi. Another Ekadeshi's view. Another participant in the discussion answers that this is not true because such statements are meant only to negate the inertness which is opposed to consciousness. They point out that Atma is not inert, Jada, and is beyond the darkness of ignorance. Tamasa Parastat.
Purusha Suptathila varudillaya.
Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Adityavarnam
Tamasa Parastat.
Footnote Shvetasvataropanishad 3.8. Shvetasvataropanishad 3.8. Gita 8.9. Purusha
Gita,
Sukta.
we have already seen this. Yeah.
Purusha Sukta 8.
Yeah.
The Suti specifically says this immediately.
Tamasa Parastat meaning Tamaha is equivalent to darkness, ignorance basically, generally. So tamasa parastad, ignorance opposite is light. So the Ekadasi says it is light in the form of light. Actually, light is only figurative. It is opposing darkness of ignorance, so it is called light. It is not really light as it, consciousness itself. Yeah.
The Shruti specifically says this immediately after saying it is like the sun, Aditya Varna, in order to
Aditya Varna Tamasa Parastad, that is Purusha Suktam, actually. Yeah.
In order to say that it is not ignorance, nor is it inert, nor does it need to be illumined by anything else. He explains that it forms like substance and attributes are negated from Atma. One can conclude that it is in the form of ignorance or darkness. It is to negate this argument that these statements are made. Beside that, form is specifically negated by very clear statements such as Arupa, without form.
We have Arupa Lakshmi, right? That is with form, not without form.
Ellame irukku. Arupa, Nishvara, ellame all negation is a vibhuti for Brahman. So that is how it is. Araswam, Haraswam, Adhirgam, neither it is Haraswam small, not Dirgam big. Everything, all attributes you can imagine. You say negate pante poyachana, that is the way you can explain neti. But the idea is not to keep on negating. At some point in time, you must be able to own it up. It is me only. Who is the negator? Everything else is negated. By whom? I. So I am the only person that is available. That is Atma. That is finally you arrive at it that way. Yeah.
Shankara answers, Atma can never become an object. Further, there is form only for an object that you can objectify, and there are equally unambiguous statements that say Atma is not available for any objectification. Statements like, there is nothing equivalent to its form, no one sees it with the eye, na sandrishe tishtati rupam, asyana chakshusha, pashyati kaschana yenam.
Yeah. Asyana chakshusha pashyati, you can't see it with the eyes. Kaschana yenam. Yeah. Eye is only an upalakshana. Upalakshana meaning you cannot see with the eyes, means you cannot hear with the ears, you cannot taste with the tongue, you cannot have a sense of touch, all those things. All other five senses are represented by eye. Chakshutu, chakshushi pashyati, na chakshushi pashyati yenam. It is not available for any indriyas, or even the mind for that matter. So that is what is being told. Yeah.
Footnote 98, Sweta Swataropanishad, 4.20,
Sweta Swataropanishad.
Sweta Swataropanishad, 4.20, Kathopanishad, 2.3.9. And without sound...
Read.
In the Bhashya...
Read that full footnote.
In the Bhashya of...
Enoli illa Swami.
Sweta Swatopanishad. The Bhashya
of the
Sweta
Swataropanishad, on this mantra, Shankara explains the phrase Na Sandrishe Tishtati as follows: Swarupam Shakshuradi Grahana Yogya Pradeshe Natishtati. Its form is not available to the scope of the senses like the eyes and so on.
That's what he explained.
Yeah.
Mine is older version, Swamiji, 2002 version.
Yeah.
And without sound,
this is the fourth version what we have now. Yeah.
And without sound, without touch, Ashabdam Asparsham tell us that Atma is free from being an object of our sight, our ears, our sense of touch, or any other sense organ. From all these statements of the Shruti, we understand that Atma is not an object. Therefore, he concludes, knowledge enjoying the form of Atma is not tenable. How can there be knowledge of Atma when it is well known that any given cognition is of the form of that given object, and Atma has been repeatedly said to be without form, Nirakara? Knowledge must be in keeping with the object. If it is knowledge of a part, it is in the form of a part. If it is the knowledge of a cloth, it is in the form of a cloth. Thus, each piece of knowledge is in the form of the object. But here, we are talking about an Atma that is free from form. And thus, knowledge of Atma is not possible. Having argued that both Atma and the knowledge of Atma have no form, his question is, how are you going to gain self-knowledge, Atma Jnana, leave alone Nishtha in that knowledge? For Nishtha, you need to contemplate upon the knowledge in order to make it certain. What can you contemplate upon here? It is something like saying that cancer can be cured by an extract of rabbit's horn. Similarly, if you gain Atma Jnana, samsara will disappear. The only problem is it is not possible. How are you going to gain Atma Jnana when Atma is neither an object for you to know, nor has a form for you to objectify? Once you know, you are free, but then Atma is not available for such knowledge. Therefore, there is no moksha by knowledge, and you have to look for another solution. It is pointless to talk about contemplation because to be contemplated upon, the Atma must have some form, but it is formless. Without a form, there is no cognition, vritti, and without cognition, what are you going to contemplate upon to gain nishtha? If I ask you to think of Atma, what will you think of? If it has a form, it is like a flame or like a sound, it is possible to think of it. But it has no form, what are you going to think of? Even if Atma cannot be objectified, its existence is well known. Shankara answers this in the following manner.
Question. Now the answer from Shankara. Yeah.
Even if Atma cannot be objectified, its existence is well known. Shankara answers this in the following manner. Uncle, you want to read? Okay.
Somehow, after 5 minutes, somehow I missed the PDF.
Okay.
I was about to read it, I missed the PDF. It was gone somewhere. In 5 minutes, I will find out.
Okay. Let me read. Shankara answers this in the following manner. He says that the conclusion that has been reached is not true. While it is true that Atma is not available for objectification, its presence is available. It is known to you because it is self-evident. It is present in the mind buddhi, which has the capacity to reflect consciousness, which is Atma. The whole argument of the opponent here is on the basis of Atma not being an object because it has no form. True, it has no form, but it exists. In spite of not being an object and having no particular attribute, still it exists. How do we know this? Like your face in a mirror, the consciousness that is Atma is reflected in the buddhi because it is made of subtle substance that has the capacity to reflect consciousness. The reflection
Here also, this reflection of consciousness, sometimes Swamiji himself does not agree. Here in this particular thing he has mentioned it, because the reflected consciousness, Chida, Bhasa and all that, Paramarthananda uses quite a bit. And then some text of Shankara Upadesha Shastri and all comes. But again, this reflection of consciousness and all that, it is not applicable to you. It's like where he says, like in the sense, in the whole argument, in spite of having no. Okay. So here, the whole argument of the opponent here is on the basis of Atma not being an object because it has no form. True, it has no form, but it exists. Now, here, instead of saying true, it has no form, but I exist.
Yeah.
Instead of saying but it exists, then you have to bring in reflected consciousness, Chidabhasa. In the mind it is reflected and all that. But instead of that, we can say it has no form, but I exist. Once you say I exist, I don't need to be shown as the reflected consciousness. When we are right now talking to each other, I am not talking of a consciousness that is reflecting in the mind. That Chidabhasa only I am talking. No, I am talking as conscious being. That is a way of explanation. In the sense, there should be an akara. Any reflection is possible only in a medium. So, then the medium is the mind. That is called Chidabhasa. Chit is the reality, Atma, but Abhasa is the reflection. As though. Abhasa means what? As though. Even in Tamil we know Abhasa means not true. So Abhasa means a reflection. As though it is reflecting in the mind. With that mind only I am talking to you. Because without mind, without voice, pramana, I cannot talk to you. Even though I may know, I am. But how I am expressing? Through my mind, through my walk and all that. So that mind first has to reflect that I am reality. So it is called Chidabhasa. That is what it is called. But if you, once the understanding is already there, you need not have to say reflected consciousness and all that. I am what I am. I need not have to explain or I need not have to objectify. Everything else, whatever is to be objectified and all has been negated. Finally, I am as Sat Chit Anandam, the conscious being. So that is the final Nishtha. That is a Nishtha. But initially, for explanation purpose, Chidabhasa, reflected consciousness, will be talked about in some texts, not in all texts. Swamiji himself does not agree with this reflected consciousness and also not needed. But Shastra, certain places Shankara also uses, Paramahansa ji also uses. That's why I am telling. He himself will say, Puja Swamiji will not agree, but I use, he says. Yeah.
Swamiji, we see
I will
this.
read from because of the reflection of the consciousness. No?
You read from there. I have a doubt, uncle.
Yeah.
So
So you want to-
Satchidananda, we say.
Yes, some question.
Satchidananda, we say. We also hear one. My Amma used to put one song. Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham
Yeah,
Shivoham.
Chidananda Rupam Shivoham Shivoham is that.
What is the difference between Satchidanandam and Chidanandam?
No difference. Satchidananda Rupam Shivoham Shivoham is your reality. That is the.
Satchidananda Rupamna, it is no Rupam. It is full of
It is,
Ananda.
Rupam is no Rupam actually. Upacharam. Satchidanandam na.
It's
And
only
maybe
Satchidananda.
for the meter of the poem or the music, they would have said. That is why Swamiji always, poetry is very dangerous. It looks very flowery, but sometimes can give you a bad meaning. That is why most of the serious texts are only, text. There is two things. One is Sahityam, another is called Brahmana. Brahmana means only prose. Prose is better. Sahityam means you will put some unnecessary swara and all, it will give a different meaning. So, Satchidananda Rupam Shivoham Shivoham Rupa Iva Rupam. As though Satchidanandam is your reality. Yeah.
Because of the reflection of the consciousness alone, the body, mind, and the senses are conscious. That's the one, no?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The thought aham vritti, which is the buddhi, becomes conscious because it reflects one consciousness of the self, and so too this thought learn vritti in the mind. Then again, because the mind is in association with the sense organs, they also became conscious. When the senses become conscious, the body become conscious. Body become conscious because one sense organ, the sense of touch, is all over the body. Though the sense of
something is missing.
ஒரு சின்ன பேரா விட்டுட்டு படிப்பாங்க.
Kumar,
read
read from the previous para.
Because of the reflection of the consciousness alone.
No. You read from the previous para. Shankara answers this in the following.
Okay. Shankara answers. That is over.
No, doesn't matter. You read.
Okay. Even if Atma cannot be objectified, its existence is well known. Shankara answers this in the following manner. He says that the conclusion that has been reached is not true. Why it is true? That Atma is not available. One second.
No. Why it is true that Atma is not available? Yeah.
Why it is true that the Atma is not available for objectification? Its presence is available. It is known to you because it is self-evident. It is present in the mind, buddhi, which has the capacity to reflect consciousness, which is Atma. The whole argument of opponent here is on the basis of Atma not being an object because it has no form. True, it has no form, but it exists. In spite of not being an object and having no particular attribute, still it exists. How do we know this? Like your face in a mirror, the consciousness that is Atma is reflected in the buddhi because it is made of a supple substance that has the capacity to reflect consciousness. The reflection or manifestation, the manifestation of consciousness in the buddhi is not separate from the consciousness that is Atma.
One minute, Swami, is that sentence, is it true?
No, that's what I'm telling. See, the thing is that we look at it as though something is Atma is reflecting in the mind, and then through that I speak and all that. It's all too technical. It's not necessary. Right now, all of us know I, the being, is what I am. I is I. You are also I. He is also I. Everyone is I only. It doesn't go through a process of reflecting in the buddhi and coming through the mouth and all that. I know very well. These are all upachara. It's all there. But I am speaking. I am I, the being. Only thing is that it is, even though it is the being, even though it doesn't have the mouth, parts, mind and all that, But I know very well that aham iti, that your aham iti vibhavaye, enga varudhu? Lalita Sahasranam.
லலிதா சஹஸ்ரநாமம்.
முதல்ல சொல்றேன்
ஆமா,
aham
ஆமா.
aham iti vibhavaye ரெண்டு தரம்
நீதான் நான்
மறந்துடக்கூடாதுங்கிறது.
நீதான்.
So aham iti vibhavaye means what? I am. Vibhavaye means it is so very effulgent. It is so very obvious. I don't have to. Nobody has to tell me that I exist. So that I is called Atma. Of course, technically it says how you say I am Atma reflected in the buddhi.
That's what I'm
and
asking.
then you say that's what he's explaining. He's explaining through how you talk, through the buddhi you talk. But that is only upakarana, only upaya. But who is I? Atma is you. That's all. But how it is being talked about?
நான் இருக்கேன். That
we think that there is buddhi is required. No, நீ இருக்கிறதுனால தான் புத்தியே இருக்கு.
ஆமா.
Then
for you to
why do you need a buddhi then? Only you light up the buddhi, not the other way.
Yes, that's true.
அதெல்லாம் உபச்சாரம். Problem is once till you don't understand, till you own up the reality, till you are awake to the reality, all these things are required. But we are habitually used to every knowledge we have been gathering through buddhi, through the mind, through the senses. So that the same yardstick we apply for Atma also. Whereas it is not true. Atma is called aprameyam. It is not available for any yardstick. Meyam means what? Manam meyam means measurement. Whereas aprameyam means what? It is not available for measurement. Because you are the one who is measuring anything and everything. Why? How you can be measured? So that Atma. But it is told in the text in some way, in some places, it's all told like this, so he is explaining that way. Yeah.
Of consciousness in the buddhi is non-separate from the consciousness that is Atma. That is because the reflection and the Atma are one and the same. There is no reflection which is totally separate from the Vastu. Because
Vastu means vastavam, reality.
From the Vastu, because the reflection is not a real entity.
Yeah,
when you stand
reflection is
before
not a real entity. There is no really reflection happening in that. Reflection, why it is easy to explain. Oh, a sun, when put in 1,000 parts or water are kept, 1,000 suns are seen. So likewise, 1,000 Atmas are there, but there is only one Atma. So it's all easy to explain by example like that. A reflection of sun and reflection in different mirrors, all those things. So pratibimba or reflection, that is the analogy generally used. So when you use the word pratibimba, naturally it gets translated into reflected consciousness. That is how it is. Yeah.
Swamiji, the reflection in pure mirror is Maya, and the reflection in this maligned mirror is avidya. That is what is explained in Vedanta.
No, what is that?
The reflection of the sun in a mirror, in a pure mirror, a mirror which is no malignity or some dirt or something is that reflects pure bimba of the sun. That is Maya, and the sun is reflected in a mirror which has some malignity or something. No? That is avidya.
Yeah, that is avidya. That is when you in your mind Atma. That is why that antakarana shuddhi as preparation we are talking about. Malina sattva, it is called malina sattva. Sattva guna is your as you are born with sattva guna. That sattva guna is called pure sattva guna. Malina sattva means what you gather, karma or janmas, punya, papa, avidya, kama, karma. Avidya is the beginning, and then kama and karma are the offshoots of avidya. So avidya, kama, karma is called malina sattva. Malina sattva means impure sattva, impure mind. In a pure mind, Atma is reflecting properly. That is what we are now getting into. That is what he says, Shankara now he says, we have a pure mind, Atma will reflect purely, only as consciousness. Whereas, if you are a malina sattva, it will not distort the picture. That is why you are always in the chakkar of avidya, kama, karma. Now we are already out of it. Now when we are talking about the 18th chapter, 50th verse, we are not talking about all those things. We are talking about the pure consciousness reflecting. It is similar to a sun reflecting in a proper mirror without any impurities. Yeah.
Swamiji,
fine.
that Madhyanika mantra where we say Pashyama Shardashatam, Modama Shardashatam, Prabhama Shardam, Maji Tasam, Joksha Suryam Drishe, Yavadakan, Mahatornava, Vibrajamana, Sharirasya, Madhyatsam Vrishabo, Lohitaksha, Suryo Vipastit, Manasapanatu. That's exactly what you are telling now in that.
Yeah, in the sense, that's true. That's part of the Madhyanikam. It is there. All those mantras are valid. Definitely. If you understand it, the Aladra was understand Pandita, another Gayatri and everything was the whole Shastra, whole of our daily activities is purely moksha oriented. There was no, everyone was very clear that moksha is the Parama Purushartha. Nippo Cholavantu. Yeah.
Yes, the Swamiji, the Surya is the Paramatma and the mirror.
No. Surya is Paramatma. It is again only an analogy. Surya also gets its light only from Atma.
Yeah.
That is what Gayatri is all about. No? Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tat Savituhu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. That which lights up the sun is the same that lights up my mind. That is Chaitanyam. That is Atma. So even Surya is only it is getting only reflected
Example.
glory of Atma. It's not Surya by itself glory. Surya is only a Devata, period. He gets his glory because of Atma.
But until we
That is
understand
why Gayatri is the most efficacious. Where every day you are equating yourself with sun. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tat Savituhu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. That Savituhu Varenyam, that which lights up the sun, let it brighten up my mind also. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. That means what? As you say that Gayatri with proper understanding, you very clearly know that the suns, all the whole prapancha is lit by one, that Atma, that is me. So if that understanding is clear, then that will give you Jnananishta again. So sun and moon and all are all exalted devatas, that's all. They are no different from you. At least if they have known, that's why we respect them. They know, we assume that they know. Yamadharmaraja also we assume that they know. That is why Kathopanishad Nachiket goes and learns from him. But Yamadharmaraja confesses, I didn't have that buddhi at your age. I did tapas to become Yamadharmaraja. I am sitting here counting deaths. Whereas you are smart enough to ask this jnana. He tells Nachiket. But of course, what it means is Yamadharmaraja later realized and understood by having Brahma Jnana. Why? Brahmaji itself, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Brahmaji itself, when he did lot of tapas and then he became an exalted Deva, what you call Deva, Devatas, when he became Brahma, for a Kshanam, he felt, when he was Brahman, nothing, no creation, he was supposed to create, nothing else is there. Brahma was there. Suddenly he felt, I need some company, Kochi. The whole Jagat got created. Because he felt alone. That aloneness itself is a blemish. You are not alone, you are Purna. So, for a second, for a microsecond, he thought, what? I am alone. Because of his tapas, the whole creation got created. That is only, again, prasamsa. Prasamsa meaning the story tells you that udara mantaram kurute atatasya bhayam bhavati. Even the smallest gap between the reality and then your understanding is there, the nishta is not there, atatasya bhayam bhavati. Then you will, that is why, so in order to prasamsa, in order to praise, the Upanishad says that Brahmaji for a moment felt alone. It is only, we don't know exactly, as I have been always telling you, all this history, etc., is only a prakriya. Nobody has seen Brahmaji or anyone for that matter. So it's only a prakriya, it's methodology to explain, to understand, make you understand how it is, what is this understanding all about. So, all these stories and all, you have to accept with a pinch of salt. It's a way in which it is being explained. The Upanishad, different Upanishads explain it in different manner. So here also, that reflected consciousness is the only way to explain. But ultimately it is you, the conscious being, the consciousness, here and now. and I don't need any explanation. That is why I am saying it is aparoksham jnanam. Aparoksham na most intimate, and means what? It is a self-revealed knowledge, and any revelation is supposed to be Ishvara Vachana. So you are Atma, I am Atma Brahma, Atma Adityo Brahma, Brahmaivaham Asmi, Brahmaiva Satyam. He is self-reflected knowledge and Ishvaroham. So that is called reflection, that is called Ishvara Vachana. That is what we are talking about. Yeah.
This is because the reflection and the Atma are one and the same. There is
Yes.
no reflection which is totally separate from the Vastu, because the reflection is not a real entity. When you said before, when you stand before the mirror, it is you that is seen, even though two entities seem to be there. Similarly, the Buddhi is made up of such a supple substance that it is able to reflect or manifest this consciousness, and therefore consciousness appears different. Because of the reflection of the consciousness alone, the body, mind and senses are conscious. Shall we complete this, Swamiji?
Yeah. Complete. Yeah.
The I thought, Ati, which is the
Aham
Buddhi, Aham Vritti, which is the Buddhi, becomes conscious because it reflects the consciousness of the self, and so too, that this thought, Idam Vritti, in the mind. Then again, because the mind is in association with the sense organs, they also become conscious. When the senses become conscious, the body becomes conscious, because one sense organ, the senses of touch is all over the body. Through the sense of touch, the whole body becomes aglow with consciousness. Like an iron ball becomes aglow with the brilliance and heat of fire. Brilliance and heat of fire. Atma does not need to be known to you as conscious and existent by any other means of knowledge. It is already evident. The only problem is that because consciousness, which is the nature of Atma, pervades the entire body, people think the body is Atma. Because consciousness is present in this body, if you touch the body, actually it is Atma you are touching. Though the body is inert.
1 minute. Somebody is knocking the door.
We will stop with this paragraph.
Yes. Just 2 lines only.
Yeah. To complete this paragraph.
Because para will complete it after reading 2 lines. Because consciousness is present in this body, if you touch the body, actually the Atma you are touching. It is the Atma you are touching. Though the body is inert, Jada, in both the hand that touches and the hand you are touching, there is consciousness, because Atma is there, you are there. Because Atma is there, you are there.
Yes. Basically, the problem is we think that Atma alone is not available, everything else is available. Here, what they say, everything is available only because of Atma alone is the most tangible thing in life. Everything else is Jadam. That is why it's changing. You don't know, you think that you are touching, actually you are not touching. You are touching means there is a surface tension between the skin and your finger. And there is always a gap. It is not 100% touching. There is a surface tension. And it gives you, because of the surface tension, it gives you a feeling you are touching. You are not touching anything. So if you go to science, and everything what you postulate will be, it's all gross. It's not proper subtle understanding. But the only thing, the subtle which you can really understand is Atma. Because that is you. I don't need any science. Or even Shastra. Actually Shastra says, it negates everything. Swata Siddham. You are Swata Siddham. You are your own Brahmana. You are you. Because of you only I know everything. So that is that sort of ownership, that is what Nishtha is talking about. Finally, at the end of the day, you have to be here and now. I am Purna. Like as I've been telling, the Shruti, it should be the Shruti. Gayatri also comes next, first Atma. That is how it should be. That sort of a reality understanding. Once it is there, then whatever, everything is a plus in life. That is what we are talking about. Anyway, we complete.
Yenga Swamiji, we are always doing reverse. We are always doing reverse process.
Yeah,
We
because
should
we
try
start
to-
from there, no?
Yeah.
We have to start from
from
yes.
ಬಹುದೂರத்திಲಿಂದ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಬಹುದೂರಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ ಜನ್ಮಗಳು ಕಡந்து ಒಂದೊಂದು
லட்சக்கணக்கான கோடிக்கணக்கான ஜென்மங்கள் கடந்தாச்சு. இன்னும் எவ்வளவு கோடி இருக்கோ தெரியாது.
அதனால don't wait for the next this moment, here and now. No postponement. அதெல்லாம் கர்த்தா நினைக்கிறவனுக்கு. You are not a karta, no? What is the problem?
पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्री गुरु हरि ओम।
धन्यवाद स्वामी।